Hi, I'm Kara with Team Peace. Let's take a few minutes to strengthen our nervous systems together. Today's practice is about noticing past, present, and future thoughts. So before we begin, I invite you to just take a moment to check in with where you are on the nervous system ladder. Notice if you're at the top in the green zone, in the middle, more in the red zone, or a little bit further down, closer to the blue zone, or all the way in the blue zone. Sometimes it feels like we don't have a choice in where we put our mind and our attention. It can feel like we don't have control over whether we're in the present moment or thinking about something in the future or the past. But mindfulness can help us with coming back to and being in the present moment more often. It can help us to train our minds to move away from ruminating about the past, things that have already happened, and worrying about the future. This practice is going to help you with these things, and it will also help you notice when you're thinking about imaginary scenarios as well. Now, none of these things are bad. Our minds wander, we go from past to present to future, we go into imagination, and all of these things are parts of our mind that are healthy and natural. However, we want to realize that we do have a choice in bringing our minds back to the present moment. We want to be able to know that we will have access to that skill when we need it. So that's why it's important to practice. We will be using mindful breathing to help us with this practice. So to get started, I'd like you to first just imagine a remote control. A remote control that can choose one of 4 channels. One channel is the history channel, and that's going to represent things from the past that we tend to think about or ruminate on. Another channel is going to be like a sci-fi channel, which is the channel of the future, the things that we tend to think about that haven't happened yet or even worry about. And another channel is the right here, right now channel, which is the present moment. We can also add one more channel, which is those imaginary thoughts that we sometimes get into thinking about, which aren't really in the past or the future or the present. They're just things that we make up in our imagination. Another way you can use this practice, besides thinking about the remote control, is using your hands to represent each one of these channels or places where our thoughts could be focused. So you might want to use your left hand as the channel of the past. You could use your right hand as the channel of the future. So every time you have a thought, as we move through this practice, that is from the past, you would squeeze your left hand or close it into a fist. And every time you think about something in the future, you could close your fist or squeeze your right hand. When you're in the present, you could simply have your hands just kind of on your lap, open. And maybe when you find yourself in a place of imagination, you could just bring your fingertips together on your lap or out in front of your belly or chest. If there are different gestures you'd like to use, you're welcome to do that instead. So now let's move into the practice together. Get into a comfortable position, seated in your chair or standing if that's preferable to you. Your eyes can be closed if that's comfortable, or you're welcome to keep your eyes open and just gaze down softly at the floor or your desk. And what we're going to do is count with our breaths and see if we can continue to keep our attention in the present moment by focusing on each count with each breath. So you can breathe in and count 1 and breathe out and count 2. And continue that pattern, breathing in for 3, breathing out for 4, all the way until you get to the count of 10. And once you get to 10, then start over and go back to 1. And we'll continue this for a minute or 2. Now, as you're doing this, if you start to realize you're forgetting about your counting or you're forgetting about paying attention to the present moment in your breath, then you can notice, am I thinking about the past? And then maybe squeeze your left hand or think about hitting that History Channel button. Bring yourself back to the present. Come back to counting. Open your hands back up. Remember to move yourself back and remember that this is a practice that can help you to do that. And then you continue with your counting, and if you start thinking about something in the future, like what you're going to eat for dinner, or what you're going to do tomorrow, what kind of assignments or homework you have due in the next day or 2, then you can squeeze your right hand, or think about pressing that button on your remote control that takes you into that sci-fi channel. And both of those things will help you to realize, this is what my mind is doing right now. And then you can just gently bring yourself back to the present, back to your breath, back to your counting, and back to open hands. So let's try this together. Your eyes, again, can be opened or closed. And maybe you've already started the practice, and that's fine, just continue. But if you haven't, I invite you to start to move into counting with your breath. Continue counting with your breath. And when you notice a thought that's taking you into past or future or imagination, you can use your hand gestures. Finish up in the next 3 or 4 counts, trying to put all your attention, all your awareness into these last breaths, these last counts. And then you can start to let go of that practice and just take a few moments to notice. Was it fairly easy for you to stay with your count and with your breath? Did you feel like it was pretty easy to stay in the present or get yourself back to the present? Usually our mind wanders quite a bit, especially when we start to really pay attention. We realize how much it wanders, and that's okay, that's normal. But we can train ourselves and realize that we do have a choice of where we put our attention. So if we're really caught up in worrying about something in the future, or really caught up about ruminating about the past, or we're daydreaming when we really need to be focusing in on our schoolwork or listening to the teacher, we can start to notice this, be practiced in noticing it, and bring ourselves back to the present and to what's happening right here and right now. So I hope you find that helpful. And as always, thank you for practicing with Team Peace today.